Welcome! We don't usually get a welcome on the episode, but this is episode 250. 250 of these incredibly tedious looks at life. Hard to believe I started these, well, I guess February of last year, and have continued doing them for, I don't know why. Again, I think it's for someday for my kids to look at and go, oh. I want to talk to you before I get on to stuff about my house, because this is another disjointed episode. I've got footage from the weekend that I'm going to play in. I don't know where I am in this saga. It's Saturday. I think I'm sure I said I'm not going to camp this summer, which is very disappointing because they were, the house is buttoned up. If half my security system's out because of the power, and the dog would have to go somewhere, and the house would be out, and we'd be in the woods, and there'd be no internet, and there'd be no way to really get any alerts if something triggered the other half of the security system. So someone has to stay. There's other stuff going on. I'm going to go review the footage I've recorded so I don't do some redundanting? Making redundant comments. And then I'll give you an update on camp, because they're all gone. It's just me left. And the dog. I'm just out here because it's a gorgeous day. It's still hot. It's over 100, but it's cloudy, and that makes it, the sun not beating down is nice. And of course the pool is nice. So I've been out for a swim, and as I'm getting out, it's beginning to sprinkle. So and the clouds are darker over there. So I think we might actually get a little rain today, which is funny because it's the first day of camp. And if we get rain here, the mountains usually get more rain than we get. So I'll be curious to hear what happens, because they're almost totally incommunicado during the course of the week. So I just get little snippets once or twice a day. So we'll see. I've been impressively bored today. And now that the sun's down, and I've just mostly been in the house all day, I decided I would come out to the park. And it's no joke. It is swarming with people doing Pokemon Go. They're everywhere. And I've never seen the park this busy at good times of the year. It's still over 100. But there's everybody out here walking along, keeping an eye on their phone, looking for their Pokemon. It's quite funny. It means they must not know about battery saver mode. Well, I guess I should go find and see if I can catch any too. I came to the Texas Grill at lunch for lunch chicken fried steak. And there's one thing about the Texas Grill. That is, the serving sizes are enormous. We've talked about this before. And great big glasses of soda. And I hadn't actually drank much of my soda, just because I was concentrating on the food. Came by, asked me if I wanted another one. It's like, no, I'm still working on this one. And then as I was getting ready to go, I was, well, I'm going to finish it. And the waitress came by and she goes, oh, would you like the Dr. Pepper to go? I thought, sure, that's great, I could do that. And I started to hand her the glass, and she goes, oh, I'll just get you another one. I was like, great. So I thought I won't have to go by Quick Trip and get a big 64-ounce Dr. Pepper. So it's kind of hard to show just how small this really is. This cracked me up. Even the straw, it's like a little dinky, it's like a swizzle stick. Never expected that from these guys. Never. I wanted to talk about language. Nothing makes a pedant faster than somebody picking on somebody else's language. And I take a certain amount of pride in my vocabulary and my use of the English language. However, I am not a grammar Nazi, and I will never be a grammar Nazi. And the reason is because language is a tool. It has a very set purpose. That purpose is to communicate between one and more people. And as long as it achieves that purpose, the language is doing what it is designed to do. When you get to the point where someone's being a grammar Nazi, that's kind of the same as going, oh, you can't drink a cup of tea unless you hold your little pinky out. No, that's horse shit. However, you can still be an idiot with language. If you don't have the command, if you don't have the tools, if you are incapable of expressing yourself beyond your own small little group. I mean, it's the same as being able to speak multiple languages. The more languages you speak, the more tools you have in your toolkit. And if your tools are inadequate to the job of life, then maybe you need to work on it. But always come back to this. If you make a mistake, it's not that big a deal as long as the point is made and you are clear in your communication. And the same is true with words themselves. And I am going somewhere with this, so this is part of the language is not rambling on, which is what I'm doing. There are words in our language. The more words you have, the more words you can command. There are words with such nuances that you can, with a single word, you can convey what another person might take 10 or 20 words or even a paragraph to convey. These are the wonderfully subtle and beautiful words that the English language has that many people don't know. And of course, if you don't know them, then it is all lost on the receiving audience. So knowing when to use the right word at the right time with the right audience. And then there are other kinds of words. There are coarse words. There are blunt words. There's big sledgehammers of words. Profanity falls into that category. I do not shy away from using profanity when it is the appropriate thing. If it's the only thing you know how to say, then again, your tools are failing you. But there are times when it is the exactly appropriate word to use. And I'll give you an example. Last week, we had the mason out to give an estimate on how much work it would take. He had to turn that over to the contractor, but he told me, if we get this taken care of, we can come out here and start work. Maybe Wednesday. And then he didn't get the estimate to the contractor until Tuesday. The contractor got it to the insurance company on Tuesday. The insurance company looked it over and thought they were bilking the prices up a little bit on some things, so they went into negotiation, so it wasn't until Wednesday. Now, the problem with that was that by this point, the mason could no longer come out sometime mid towards end of last week. He was going to have to push it to Monday of this week, which was today. Fine. That's fine, because this is the good week. And then there was some back and forth, and it didn't get done, and it didn't get done until Tuesday. And Tuesday they decided that it was so expensive it had to go to an upper line management. And by that point they were still thinking, well, maybe they can start midweek of this coming week, so about Wednesday, so in 2 days' time, and they'd be able to get on with the masonry works. But the supervisory signatures took longer than that, and by the time they got approved on Thursday. Then they said they'd get a project manager assigned to it and he'd contact me, which he did not manage to contact me until Friday. And he seems like a wonderful young chap who called me up on the phone. And he said, hi, and introduced myself. I'm the project manager, and I just wanted you to know that we've got it all scheduled, and the mason's going to be coming out a week from Monday. Fuck, I said to him as loud as I could on the phone, which, strangely enough, took him aback. And I don't normally do that, but that was time for a blunt instrument. And then I said to him, I'm sorry. That was not aimed at you. That's aimed at the situation in general. But fuck! This has not pleased me well. You have to know when to use the right words. And that was the time. So, where are we on the Drobo? Well, as you can see, it's still flashing back and forth. I think I already reported that we had that it had leveled out to a 1 per 1 hour estimate, and that means that it is 90 minutes from completion, assuming that everything has continued apace. I've had to disconnect my computer because I needed to use it for stuff. So I'm not getting estimates anymore, but it had stayed rock solid on 1 hour per hour for, well, all of yesterday afternoon. So the estimates continue to put it at 7 p.m. or within 5 to 10 minutes of it. So I'm hoping that in just a short while, this will go all green, and I'll be happy. Looking a bit stormy tonight, so I'm thinking I'm probably not going to go swimming this evening, which is a bit of a shame. So I mentioned they're all up at camp. And one of the nice things about camp is that I get enormously frustrated going into camp. I mean, the kids we have at camp are incredibly bright, by and large, and frankly, their parents come from usually highly educated, highly intelligent families, by and large, and yet somehow there's always a few, and it's, you know, it's just life that manages to just get my blood pressure boiling because they can't figure out how to scan a form or upload a file or realize, hey, the rules apply to you too. And so you have to nag them, and you ask them questions and they answer the wrong question, and it's staggeringly thing. So usually when I go to camp, then my blood pressure on that part goes down, because then I'm not dealing with that, which is great. So now that camp started, actually, that's kind of leveled off. But there's another thing that happens at camp when we get a volunteer, because you're working with kids, so we have to screen them. We interview them. We have criminal background and sex predator registry checks on them. We do reference checks on them. We give them 2 different kinds of training. We feed them, come into training courses and feed them, and try to get to know them and set up a sort of manly thing. And then almost invariably, someone doesn't show, and you need them. You can't get by without them, or you don't bring down a lot more staff than you need. So those are always incredibly frustrating, and you can usually tell who they're going to be because of just the way that they interact with you just in advance of camp. And we had one that was kind of dicey that way, and then seemed to kind of get over it. And obviously no names, but he showed up at camp Saturday night. The kids show up on Sunday, and went to bed in a cabin with other people. And in the morning, he was gone and had disappeared in the middle of the night. No note. Didn't stop to talk to anybody. Didn't say anything. When I got the information, started trying to call him. Got voicemail. Couldn't get hold of him. I mean, what are you supposed to do? He's supposed to call up the sheriff's department and set out a manhunt for them? For crying out loud! That level of inconsiderateness boggles my mind. I mean, yes, okay, sometimes people can't handle it. Tell somebody. I came home at 7 o'clock, and I was a little disappointed that the Drobo was still flashing away. But now, at 7:05, I looked over, and this is what I saw. The Drobo has turned itself off. Now, the beauty of that is I happen to know that that's what it's supposed to do when it completes its drive rebuild, which means it's done. It's done. Here's the little hallelujah video. Woo, woo, woo. Look at that. I don't know. Charleston, something. Anyway, it's done. It's back in order. And now I can hook a computer up to it and check everything out. So I think that's what I'm going to do and make one of those exciting turning on the Drobo videos where you can just watch it go through the entire drive process. That will be exciting, won't it? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I promise you, it will be exciting. It will be the most exciting turning on a Drobo video you have ever seen.